Weeks passed after the river returned to peace. The villagers began to smile again, children laughed, and even the air felt lighter. But deep inside the chief's abandoned compound, something still moved. At night, a faint red light flickered from the ground near the old well. Those who passed by swore they heard a woman's soft humming, the same song Adana used to sing when she fetched water as a child. One evening, Mama Ozioma sat by the fire with Chibik, staring quietly at the flames. "My daughter's spirit is calm," she said. "But my heart tells me the land still hides something." Chibik nodded slowly. "I dreamed of the river last night, Mama." Adana was standing beside it again. But this time, she didn't look at peace. She pointed toward the chief's compound and whispered, "The curse hasn't finished its journey." Mama Ozioma looked toward the forest path, her eyes worried. "Then something still sleeps in that family's name." The next morning, they went to the compound together. The yard was quiet except for the wind brushing dry leaves. Near the old well, they found footprints, small, barefoot ones, fresh in the dust. Chibik froze. "Mama, nobody lives here anymore." Before she could answer, a soft voice drifted from inside the well, "Help me, please." They looked at each other, hearts pounding. Mama Ozioma called down, "Who is there?" No reply, only a faint splash. Then silence. Chibik leaned closer and saw a faint red glow far below. He stepped back quickly. "Mama, it's the same light from the night Adana returned." Before they could leave, the wind picked up, spinning dry leaves into a small wall around the well. From the air came a familiar but distorted voice, "Blood still remembers. One child carries it forward." Mama Ozioma's face turned pale. One child. But Obomnik had no child. The voice answered softly, "Search the village of Umuhia." The seed was hidden before the curse began. The wind stopped. The glow disappeared. Mama Ozioma held her son's hand tightly. "Chibik, it means Adana's story isn't over. Someone still carries the blood of those who buried her." He looked toward the horizon, where the path led east. "Mama," he said, "then we must go to Umuhia." As they began their journey, the well behind them glowed faintly again, and this time, the reflection in the water showed a young girl's face, smiling faintly under the surface. The road to Umuhia was long and silent. Mama Ozioma and Chibik walked for hours through thick forest where sunlight barely touched the ground. The only sound was the soft clap of their bare feet on the red earth and the distant cry of birds. "Mama," Chibik whispered, "what if this child the spirit spoke of no longer lives?" Mama Ozioma clutched her walking stick. "If the spirit said she exists, then she does. We only need faith to find her." By evening, they reached the edge of Umuhia village, smaller than theirs, but lively. Smoke rose from cooking fires, and women's laughter floated through the air. Yet something about the place felt strange. As they entered, people stopped to stare. Some whispered, "Is that not the woman from Omugo? The one whose daughter came back from the grave?" Mama Ozioma ignored them and went straight to the market square. She asked a trader, "Please, my sister, we are looking for a young girl, maybe 15, named Nena. Do you know her?" The woman frowned. "Oh, you mean the one with the mark on her neck? The child who never speaks?" "Yes," Mama Ozioma said quickly. "Where does she live?" The woman pointed toward the edge of the village. "In that small hut near the old mango tree. She lives alone with her grandmother." When they arrived, they found a small, quiet compound surrounded by tall grass. Smoke curled gently from a small fire outside. An old woman sat nearby, grinding pepper slowly. She looked up and smiled faintly. "You've come a long way, travelers." Mama Ozioma bowed politely. "We seek your granddaughter, Nena." The old woman's smile faded. "She's not here. She went to the river." Chibik looked at the sky, the sun was already sinking. "Which river, Mama. The same one that feeds both our villages, she said softly. The river of voices. Mama Ozioma's heart skipped. The river of voices, that is the same river where Adana rose. Before she could say more, a cold wind blew across the compound. The fire flickered and went out. The old woman shivered. She goes there every sunset, she whispered, and sometimes I hear her speaking, but not in any language I know. Mama Ozioma looked at Chibik. We must go to her now. They hurried down the narrow path to the river. The air grew colder with every step. When they reached the bank, they froze. There, standing in the shallow water, was a young girl in a white dress. Her hair flowed like Adana's once did. Around her neck was a small clay pendant, shaped exactly like the one Adana wore before she died. She turned slowly toward them. Her eyes glowed faintly golden. Mama Ozioma, she said in a calm, almost familiar voice. I have been waiting for you. Mama Ozioma gasped. Nena. How do you know my name? The girl smiled softly. Because your daughter's spirit has walked with me since I was born. The river behind her shimmered with light. The same song Adana once sang floated through the air, carried by the wind. Chibik whispered in awe, Mama, she sounds just like Adana. Mama Ozioma stepped forward slowly. Who are you, child? The girl looked up, her eyes filled with tears. I am Nena, but the spirits call me the second breath of Adana. Lightning flashed above them. The river turned gold again. Mama Ozioma fell to her knees, whispering, Adana, my child, what have you become? The girl's voice echoed softly, half human, half wind, I have come not to hunt, but to finish what truth began. The wind blew gently across the river of voices, carrying the faint scent of wet earth and palm leaves. Mama Ozioma and Chibik stood frozen, staring at Nena, the girl who looked and sounded like Adana. The girl stepped out of the water slowly, each ripple glowing beneath her feet. The clay pendant on her neck shone brighter as she came closer. Mama Ozioma, she said softly, your daughter's journey is not finished. Every night, I see what she saw before she was buried. I feel what she felt. Sometimes, I wake with sand in my hands. Mama Ozioma's heart ached. Child, what do you mean? Nena looked down, her voice trembling. In my dreams, I am inside the earth. I hear drums, and I hear the chief's voice saying, let her silence bring peace. But the earth always answers, peace cannot grow on pain. Chibik shivered. Mama, it's like she's remembering Adana's death. The girl nodded. The spirits chose me to finish her story. They call it the second breath. Mama Ozioma sat on a rock, trying to understand. Why would the spirits bring you here, child? Nena looked toward the river. Because the land still bleeds. The curse left behind by the chief's family was not only on your daughter, it was on every innocent soul buried in silence. And one man still carries its shadow. Who? Chibik asked quickly. Nena's eyes turned pale gold. The last son of Chief Okorik, Yuzuku. He hides in the hills near Ober forest. The spirits say he is trying to awaken what his father began. Mama Ozioma gasped. You mean the curse could return? The girl nodded slowly. Unless the truth is sealed by the one who carries Adana's spirit. Mama Ozioma looked at her sharply. You mean you? Nena stepped closer. Yes. But to do that, I must return to where Adana was buried, the sacred ground of Umugo. The air grew still. The forest seemed to listen. Chibik looked uneasy. Mama, that place was destroyed. Even birds don't go there anymore. Nena smiled faintly. That's why we must go. The land remembers what humans forget. She turned toward the river, scooped a handful of water, and poured it into her clay pendant. It glowed even brighter. The river will guide us, she said. When the moon turns red again, we must stand where Adana took her last breath. Only then will the truth rest. Mama Ozioma stood, eyes wet with both fear and hope. Then we will go with you, child. My daughter's story will not end in half. Nena smiled gently, and for a moment, her voice changed. It sounded exactly like Adana's. Then, Mama, the spirits will walk with us once more. The river shimmered in gold, and the reflection in the water showed two faces instead of one, Nena and Adana, perfectly merged. The journey back to Umugo began at dawn. The sky was still painted in soft purple when Mama Ozioma, Chibik, and Nena started walking through the narrow forest path. The forest felt alive, whispering as if it remembered their names. Nena walked in front, holding her clay pendant close to her chest. Every few minutes, it glowed faintly, guiding their steps through the mist. Chibik whispered, "Mama, do you hear that sound? It's like the trees are breathing." Mama Ozioma nodded slowly. "They are. The spirits of the land never forget." By the time they reached Omugo, the sky had turned grey, heavy with clouds that refused to rain. The once lively village now looked quiet and strange, like it was holding its breath. Even the chickens that usually wandered the compound paths had vanished. Mama Ozioma stopped near the edge of the old shrine field. "Here," she whispered. "This was where my daughter was buried alive." The ground looked untouched, yet the earth carried a strange hum, a deep, low vibration that could be felt through their feet. Chibik shivered. "Mama, the soil is warm." Nena knelt down, placing her hand on the ground. Her clay pendant began to glow faintly, responding to the pulse of the earth. "She is still here," Nena said softly. "Her spirit rests, but something beneath still moves. Something that doesn't want peace." Mama Ozioma frowned. What could still be here after all this time? Before anyone could answer, the ground shifted slightly, not like an earthquake, but like someone breathing under the soil. The dry leaves scattered, and the air grew thick with dust. "Mama," Chibik whispered, "is the earth alive?" The hum grew louder. Then a faint voice, deep and ancient, rose from the ground. "Who dares walk upon the land of silence?" Nena stood up firmly, her eyes glowing gold. "It is I, Nena, the one who carries Adana's spirit. I have come to release what still binds this land." The voice rumbled again. "If you release us, you release the curse." Nena shook her head. "No. The curse has already spoken. It's time for truth to breathe." The pendant around her neck burst into golden light. The soil cracked open slowly, revealing a faint blue glow underneath. Mama Ozioma stepped back, clutching her chest. "Adana's resting place," she whispered, trembling. "It's shining again." From the light, a small clay box emerged, covered in old writing. The words glowed briefly before fading. Nena picked it up carefully, brushing off the dust. "It's sealed," she said. "And it carries the same mark as the chief's family." Chibik's eyes widened. Then it must have been buried with her. As they stared at the box, thunder roared in the sky though no rain fell. The light grew stronger until it wrapped around Nena like a cloak. Then Adana's voice came again, calm but powerful. "Inside that box lies the promise that changed generations. The truth that killed me now waits to free you all." Mama Ozioma fell to her knees, tears running down her face. "Adana, my daughter, what should we do?" The voice replied softly, "Open it only where water meets earth. The river knows what must be done." The glow faded. The air grew still again. Nena stood silently, holding the box close. "Then we must go back to the river of voices," she said. Mama Ozioma nodded slowly. "Then let the river bear witness to the end of this story." As they turned to leave, a gust of wind blew across the gravesite, and the whisper of Adana's laughter echoed faintly through the air, not in sorrow this time, but in peace. The night was deep when Mama Ozioma, Chibik, and Nena reached the river of voices again. The moon hovered low, half hidden behind grey clouds. The water glowed faintly, reflecting streaks of gold that danced on its surface. Nena held the clay box tightly to her chest. Her pendant shimmered softly, as though whispering secrets only she could hear. Mama Ozioma's voice broke the silence. "Child, are you sure this is where it must be opened?" "Yes," Nena replied calmly. "The river remembers everything. It carried Adana's cry when the earth covered her. It knows what truth still sleeps inside." Chibik looked nervously at the dark water. "But Mama, what if opening it wakes something worse?" The wind answered before she could. It blew gently across the river, forming ripples that shaped Adana's face for a moment before fading away. Mama Ozioma closed her eyes. "Then we trust her. My daughter would never guide us to harm." They knelt beside the riverbank. The air was still, heavy with waiting. Nena placed the clay box on a flat stone and touched the top gently. It felt warm, alive, like a heartbeat under her palm. As her fingers traced the carvings, faint blue lines began to appear on the surface. The symbols glowed one by one until the whole box shimmered like a lantern. The river's voice rose in a low hum. "Who dares disturb what was bound by blood?" Nena lifted her chin. "I am Nena, the second breath of Adana. I come to free what was trapped, and to seal what was broken." The river quieted. Then, from its center, the water began to swirl, forming a tall column of liquid light. Inside the water, a woman's shape appeared, made of mist and stars. Mama Ozioma gasped. "Adana." The spirit's voice was calm and deep. "Before peace can live, truth must speak its final word." Nena looked up at the glowing figure. "Tell us, Mother Spirit, what is in this box?" The figure pointed toward the box. "A vow written in fear, sealed by the blood of the innocent and the pride of men." Lightning flashed across the sky. The box began to shake violently, as though something inside was struggling to escape. Chibik jumped back. "It's moving." Nena steadied it with her hand. "It won't harm us if our hearts are pure." The spirit nodded. "The river will test your hearts. If you open it with greed or anger, it will drown you. But if you open it with faith, the land will heal." Mama Ozioma placed her hand over Nena's. "Then we do it together." The three of them touched the box at once. The symbols flashed gold, and a deep sound rolled from beneath the river. The lid cracked slightly, releasing a faint light. Then, silence. The glow from the box dimmed. The river stopped moving. Even the crickets went quiet. Nena looked around nervously. Why did it stop? The spirit of Adana smiled faintly, her form flickering. "Because the truth is waking, and it knows your names." Suddenly, a bright beam of light shot from the box into the sky, splitting the clouds. The river began to glow brighter, and hundreds of small voices whispered through the air, voices of people long gone. Mama Ozioma covered her ears. "What are they saying?" Nena listened carefully, her eyes wide. "They are calling a name." Chibik asked, "Whose name?" The wind carried the answer, Yuzuku. The same man Nena had spoken of, the last son of Chief Okarik. The glow faded instantly. The box went dark. Nena looked at her mother in fear. "The river has spoken. The bloodline still breathes, and it is coming." The wind carried the echo of the name, Yuzuku. It drifted across the river like a warning, vanishing into the forest beyond. Nena stood still, clutching the clay box to her chest. Mama Ozioma whispered, "That name, it belongs to the last son of Chief Okarik." "Yes," Nena replied softly. "The one who hides in the Ober hills." Chibik frowned. But why would the river call his name? Nena's pendant began to glow faintly again, and her eyes turned gold. "Because he has something that belongs to the spirits. Something that was taken from Adana before she died." Mama Ozioma gasped. "What could that be?" "The binding charm," Nena said. "It was used to silence her spirit. If it still exists, then the curse cannot fully die. The water rippled as if agreeing. By dawn, the three of them began their climb toward Ober hills. The path was narrow, twisting between thick trees and grey rocks. Strange symbols were carved into the stones along the way, circles crossed with lines, just like those on the box. "Mama," Chibik said, breathing heavily, "someone has been here recently." "Yes," Nena answered quietly. "He knows we are coming." Far above them, a figure stood watching Yuzuku himself. His once proud face was now thin and haunted. In his hands, he held a small charm wrapped in red cloth. The wind around him whispered like voices. He muttered to himself, "They will not take it from me. My father's name will not be cast again." He placed the charm on a rock and poured palm oil over it, chanting softly. The air shimmered darkly, and shadows gathered behind him, forming the shapes of angry faces, the same elders who once buried Adana. The spirits hissed, "Keep the charm sealed. Do not let the girl touch it." Down below, Nena suddenly stopped walking. Her pendant flickered wildly. "Mama," he's calling the old spirits. The same ones who bound Adana. Mama Ozioma looked frightened. "Then we must hurry before he strengthens the curse." They began to climb faster, but the wind grew fierce. Dust stung their eyes, and whispers filled the air. The trees bent as though trying to block their path. Chibik shouted over the noise, "The wind. It's alive." Nena raised her pendant high. It glowed bright gold, cutting through the storm. The wind stopped instantly. Then a voice spoke from the pendant, calm and familiar. "Do not fear the storm. The hill hides more than a man, it hides your destiny." Nena looked toward the top of the hill. "Then that is where we must go." As they reached the last slope, the ground trembled. A faint red light glowed from behind the rocks, and the smell of palm oil filled the air. Mama Ozioma whispered, "He's here." They stepped carefully into a wide clearing. At the center stood Yuzuku, his eyes dark as night, the charm burning faintly in his hands. He looked at Nena and said in a broken voice, "You should not have come. What died with your sister must remain buried." Nena took one step forward. "I am not here to bury, I am here to free." The air between them shimmered with power. The ground cracked beneath their feet, and the sky turned deep gray. From the shadows behind Yuzuku, three glowing figures began to appear, the same elder spirits who had once warned Nena in the forest. Only this time, their faces were filled with rage. The hilltop was silent. The wind had stopped. Even the birds refused to fly above Ober hills that evening. Yuzuku stood at the center of the clearing, his hands trembling as he held the charm wrapped in red cloth. Nena, Mama Ozioma, and Chibik faced him, the glow from Nena's pendant casting gold light across the ground. The two forces, one born of pain, the other of truth, now stood facing each other for the first time. Yuzuku's voice was cold. "This land has already seen enough blood. Leave me to protect what is mine." Nena took a step forward. "The cause you protect is not power. It is poison. It destroyed your father, and it will destroy you." He laughed bitterly. "You think you can erase the sins of generations? The elders promised our family would rule forever if we kept the secret." Mama Ozioma raised her voice. "And that secret buried my daughter alive." Yuzuku hesitated. His hands trembled. "I didn't want it to be this way," he muttered, "but you leave me no choice." He unwrapped the red cloth. Inside was a small carved stone, black as night, pulsing faintly like a heartbeat. As it touched the air, the ground began to shake. Nena gasped. "That is no charm. That is the heart of silence." Mama Ozioma frowned. "What is that?" "The stone used to seal Adana's spirit," Nena explained, "forged from the bones of the first sacrifice. It feeds on fear." Yuzuku raised the stone high. "Then let it feed." A wave of black wind rushed outward, knocking them backward. The trees bent violently, and the earth cracked open. From the ground, mist began to rise, mist filled with faces, screaming softly. Chibi covered his ears. Mama! The spirits are waking. Nena stood up, her pendant glowing brighter. No, these are not evil souls, they are trapped ones. The curse is forcing them to rise. The wind roared louder. Yuzuku staggered, clutching the stone as if it burned his hand. It's alive. Nena stepped forward, shouting over the storm, it doesn't belong to you. Release it before it consumes you. But before he could respond, the red cloth caught fire by itself. The storm began to scream, the deep, terrible sound that shook the hill. The spirits swirling in the air turned their faces toward Nena. Free us, before the heart drinks again. Nena closed her eyes, raised her pendant, and called out, by the name of the one they buried, let truth and mercy break this bond. Golden light burst from her pendant, meeting the black energy in the air. The two powers clashed, spinning into a spiral of gold and red that reached into the sky. Yuzuku fell to his knees, shouting, make it stop. Nena's voice grew stronger, her hair whipping in the wind. Only you can end what your father began. Cast it into the river and be free. Yuzuku hesitated, sweat pouring down his face. He looked at Mama Ozioma, then at the glowing girl who looked so much like the one his family had destroyed. I can't, he whispered. The ground split wider beneath them. Flames of light shot upward. Nena's voice thundered through the air, then the curse we choose for you. The heart of silence glowed crimson, rising slowly out of Yuzuku's hands and floating above them all, beating faster and faster like a heart about to burst. Mama Ozioma shouted, child, what's happening? Nena's voice was barely a whisper. The curse has awakened, but it hasn't decided who it belongs to yet. The hill glowed with red and gold light. The wind roared like 100 voices speaking at once. And then, silence. Everything froze, even time itself seemed to stop. All that remained was the faint sound of the heart of silence, beating in the air between them. The hilltop was completely still. No sound, no breath, no life, only the red and gold light glowing between the earth and sky. The heart of silence hung in the air, pulsing like something alive. Every beat shook the ground, sending tiny cracks through the rocks beneath their feet. Yuzuku knelt trembling, his eyes filled with fear. Mama Ozioma clutched her son's arm. Nena stood in the center of the storm, her pendant blazing like a small sun against the darkness. Then the wind spoke with many voices, men, women, and children, all crying together, the heart seeks a soul to rest in. It cannot fade without a vessel. Nena understood. The curse needed a host. If no one contained it, the power would spill into the land again, poisoning the villages forever. She looked at Yuzuku. It wants you. Your blood carries the shadow of your father's sin. He shook his head desperately. No. I have carried this burden my whole life. I don't want it anymore. Nena's eyes softened. Then you must face it, not fear it. Only truth can end what lies began. But the heart of silence pulsed faster, brighter, angrier. The air turned red. The trapped spirit screamed. The ground trembled like thunder. Mama Ozioma cried out, child, what can be done? Nena turned slowly toward her. Mama, Adane gave her first life for truth. I must give my second breath for peace. Before Mama Ozioma could reach her, Nena stepped forward and lifted both hands toward the heart. If a heart must carry silence, she whispered, let it be one born of mercy, not fear. The glowing stone spun faster, then shot straight into her chest like a flash of light. There was a loud cry, not of pain, but release. The red light burst into gold, filling the sky, the trees, and the earth below. Yuzuku fell to the ground, covering his eyes. The hill shook once more, then went completely quiet. When the dust settled, Nena was gone. Only her pendant lay glowing faintly on the ground. Mama Ozioma crawled to it, tears running down her face. My child, my daughters, both of you have become one. The pendant cracked open. From it came a soft golden mist that drifted into the sky, forming the shape of a young woman smiling, Adana's face at peace at last. Her voice whispered gently, the curse has ended. Tell the world that truth is never buried. It only sleeps. The golden light rose higher until it faded into the clouds. The wind became calm. The forest birds began to sing again. Yuzuku stood slowly, tears streaming down his face. I am free, but at a price I can never repay. Mama Ozioma looked at him. Then use your freedom to heal, not to hide. He nodded. I will rebuild what my father destroyed. And I will tell the story of the girl we wronged, forever. Months later, the river flowed peacefully again. Where Adana had once risen, a shrine now stood, built of white stones and flowers. The villagers came every year to pour libations and sing songs of truth. Mama Ozioma, older but peaceful, often sat there at sunset. Chibik would bring her palm wine, and together they would watch the river shimmer like gold. One evening, she smiled faintly and whispered, 2 daughters, 1 soul. The land is free. A soft wind passed over her face, carrying the sound of laughter, Adana's laughter, sweet and light, echoing in the distance. Mama Ozioma closed her eyes and whispered, rest well, my child. Rest well, both of you. The wind faded into silence, and in that silence, peace finally lived. If this story touched your heart, let its voice live on. Like, share, and subscribe to keep African stories alive, stories of truth, courage, and redemption. Together, we make sure no voice, no story, and no soul is ever buried in silence again.